As always, when we start this, we ask people if you're during the question and answer session, we'd appreciate it very much if you would get one of the microphone prompters on each side of the room to bring you a microphone, and at that point, they'll cue you when you can ask a question and jump in. It's really important that you get the microphone up to your mouth. The shotgun microphone on the camera does not pick up the ambient room sound, so we record these events, and if you don't speak directly into the microphone, then in the recording there's not an opportunity to actually hear the question. So my name is Rick Thomas, and I always like to ask people in the crowd, how many of you are here for the first time? That's awesome, and I'd like to welcome you to A Million Cups. Come back often, and we love seeing new faces, and it's always a great opportunity to network with new people. So thanks for joining us this morning. Our first speaker this morning is Jody Chaffin, and he's from a group right here in the E Factory called the App Pros. They do tremendous work, and they're a very well-respected company in this area. So without further ado, I'd like you to welcome Jody Chaffin to speak. Thank you.
Is it turned on? Okay. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. I appreciate everybody coming, especially the folks that in my networking group business partners that are coming out to support me today. I appreciate that. Appreciate a lot of familiar faces in the crowd. I'm going to start off by stepping out of the way and showing a video. We were recently honored as a finalist by the Chamber as one of the Small Business of the Year finalists. And they created a video for that, and it says in 2.5 minutes, a lot better than I can probably say it. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll have some slides to talk through. So let me switch to that real quick. I'm Jody Chaffin. Where's the video? Is it up there? Yeah. I'm Jody Chaffin. I'm the CEO of the App Pros. In May 2011, my partner and I started the App Pros. We saw that the future of technology was really in mobile. And so we decided that we wanted to go ahead and start a company here in Springfield, Missouri, focused on mobile app development. There wasn't really one focused on that. And going into that, we knew that we'd have to offer other services as well, being custom software really of any kind, web applications, desktop applications, and consulting. But the real focus we knew with the trends and that have come true is that mobile is where everything's headed. The first year, everybody we talked to, we had to explain what mobile was and why they would need it and how they could use it. Since the beginning of 2014, we don't have to call people anymore. People are calling us. They get it now, and everybody realizes that everything's going mobile. And so it's become a lot easier for us. Now that people actually understand what we do and how we can help them. Growing up in this area, I love Springfield, Missouri. My partners lived here for over 30 years. It made a lot of sense since we both worked here, all of our experience with the local development in this area, the software companies and other companies that we do business with were here. And really, we feel our role in this area is to provide the smaller and medium-sized businesses the ability to compete with the larger businesses. We're a service company right now. We have a lot of businesses who come to us as an extension of either extension of their IT team or kind of being their ITIS team developing mobile apps. And we want to continue that long term because there's great relationships we're building there with some of the local companies. But ultimately, we want to also become a product company. And we have identified a product, and we're working on a business plan now. So our ultimate goal is to continue kind of both avenues. One, where an entrepreneur can walk in the door and say, hey, I've got an idea. I have no idea how to build an app or how to get it to market. And we can sit down with them, go through our process of designing that app and building it for them and help
Okay. So that kind of quickly tells you who we are and what we do. And this slide, I could inundate you with slides on statistics about mobile. Everything's going mobile. Everyone in here probably has a smartphone. Everyone you know probably has a smartphone. And everything is headed that direction. These are just some of the stats that jump out. And one of the ones that I like to point out is everybody's using smartphones, and 80% of the time they're on a smartphone, they're in an app. And that's what we do, is develop apps. So you think about it, though, the argument could be easily, well, isn't the most of that time spent on Facebook and in games? Well, yeah, that is one of the big categories is entertainment and social media. But the fastest growing area is productivity. And that's really where we're focused. We work with businesses to help them streamline their businesses and to use mobile just as another tool in their business, just like they use the web, they use desktop computers, anything else. So this is where the trend is, and this is where businesses are going to be moving, and are moving, and have been moving. So what are the steps to develop a mobile app? So someone walks in the door with us, and there's some of you in the room who've done this with us, walk in the door and they say, well, I've got an idea for an app. So we'll spend an hour, however long it takes, just kind of talking about the idea to the point to where we can see if we think it's viable, answer some questions to see if they think it's a viable idea still. And then if everybody's on board with the idea, we move into what we call our architectural design process. And I equate this to, if you're going to build a home, you're going to go to an architect, and you're going to get the blueprints built. You're going to get everything figured out. You're going to say, well, I'm going to want a 3,600 square foot house today, but someday I may want to add on to it, and so I want to be able to design it in such a way where that's easy. I want to have really nice finish, all that kind of thing. So you go to the architect, you figure out what it is you want to build, and then at the end of that process, other than just the architectural diagrams that we give you that make sure that we're all on the same page, we would give you a timeline and a very solid estimate of what it would cost to build that app. So at the end of that, then we go into what we call an iterative development process. So every week to 2 weeks, you're touching the code that we're developing. You don't have to wait 6 months to see what you got. It's not like unwrapping a present at Christmas. You're touching it and filling it and using it all along the way. And so when it's ready to go, we've worked through all the issues, so when it goes live, it's solid. The other thing that does, it allows us to save a lot of time and money in situations where you're like, oh, I didn't think about that, we need to go this direction. Well, if we waited 6 months to figure that out, there's a ton of rework. But because we do it iteratively, we find that out right on the spot. So here's what we're looking for. Obviously, we're looking for referrals to entrepreneurs, people who have ideas, who want to take an app to market, who want to build a business around app, a technology company, something like that. The other thing is other businesses, companies who have maybe an ITIS team, but they don't know anything about mobile, or small businesses, retail companies, things like that who don't have a mobile strategy. We can help you with that mobile strategy. How do you get from where you are today to where 90% of your customers are today? So, and then the last thing I want to mention, we're looking at starting a very highly focused technology angel group. So what we would be looking for are investors who are interested in investing in technology. And what we would then become is that filter for that group. So people would come to us, we would filter the ideas to make sure that they're truly viable. We would do the design process to make sure that they're actually something that can be built and know what the cost of building that would be and be able to take it to market. And then we would take it to this angel group, then they could decide if they wanted to invest in it. The nice thing about this from an entrepreneurial standpoint, if you're an entrepreneur and you have an idea, you may not know how to take an idea to market. So we can help you not only, if we did something like this, we'd be able to help you not only with the technology, but by being in the eFactory, we could plug you into the eFactory and all the services that the eFactory offers for business planning and marketing and helping you get your idea ready, and then have a group of investors who are technology focused, who trust us to only bring them good ideas. And then maybe your idea can get funded quickly, and we can move to market before someone else takes your idea to market. So that's kind of what we're looking for. And this is how you can get a hold of us. I'm Jody Chaffin. My partner, David Rudder, he's the Chief Technology Officer. Like I said, we're located here in the eFactory, and if you hit that QR code, it'll take you to our website. So what questions do you have? Did I do 6 minutes? That's pretty close.
Jody, what kind of initial consultation fee do you have if you've got an idea?
The initial consultation's free. That first hour or two is free. We'll come in, we'll talk to you. If your idea has legs and it's something that you're still interested with, the architectural design process is an hourly based, fee-based, just like development. Same price as well. And we charge $100 an hour. There's no secret there. It's $100 an hour, and we can typically design an app idea. It really depends on the size of the project, but it could be anywhere from a couple $1,000s. We've had some that are close to $10,000, but those systems were six-figure systems, big systems that we were building. So.
Jody, are there any people here in town that we would recognize that that are clients of yours, or
Sure.
big apps that we've used on a daily basis?
Well, our business model isn't to develop the next Angry Bird, so you're not going to see a lot in the stores with our name on it. But we've developed an app for Cox Health. We've developed 2 or 3 apps and working on another app, and we've got another app lined up and another app lined up with the Assembly of God National Headquarters. We're doing an app with a medical supply company here in town that's going to be able to take all their drivers that go out and deliver oxygen and beds and all that kind of thing, and be able to see their routes, be able to make sure they got everything loaded on the truck, be able to actually get the person's signature and deliver everything, and it all feeds right back real time back into the main system. So it really varies the type of apps, but yeah, I mean, you're not going to see a lot if you look up the app pros on the app stores, because that's not our business model. We're building apps for other people right now.
Jody, when you mentioned your rate structure and an average cost to build an app, does that include an iPhone app and an Android app, or would both of those things be costed separately?
We do all platforms, and typically we recommend everybody build for Android and iPhone, or iOS, iPad, because that'll get you 96% of the market. Windows Phone and all other make up about 4% of the market. So if you plan for those two, now we can develop for one or the other, and there are situations where people's budget isn't there that we'll pick one and we'll go into that market, and then once it proves itself and they start making money, then we can build the other one.
So you consider those to be individual development processes. So if I came to you and you quoted me a price of $7,000 to create an app, and I wanted both, that price would double?
No, not at all.
Okay.
We actually use a software that allows us to build about 70% of the code one time. And it's still native apps. Everything comes down to an APK and an IPA. But the thing is it's got to, you've got to develop the UI for the specific, unless you want one of these kind of apps that looks like, it's not really native to that platform. And so we usually say it's 1.5. So if you want 2 platforms, it's 1.5%, times the cost of one platform.
Hey, Jody.
Hey.
I'm just curious, how many people do you have in terms of your development team? Is it just you and David, or do you have other people working on projects with you?
Right now there's David and I and George and Tracy. They're full-time, and we've got a few people in town that work for us as our projects get too intensive and we need help. We don't offshore anything. Everything's done here in Springfield. But right now we have 4, and we're really close to needing to hire 1 or 2 more people. So.
I'm not as familiar with the productivity apps. Can you maybe give examples of the type of work that those do for folks?
Yeah, I mean, one good example, and one of the things that there's been a lot of press about lately, is Microsoft actually took Office for the iPad. So you can do anything that you could do on your computer, you can do now on the iPad with Office. That's one example. Another example is like what I was talking about, like with the medical supply company. I mean, they're doing their business, their day in, day out business on an Android tablet. And so companies who have people in the field a lot, maybe that's someone who has to go out and do estimates for bids, someone who has to go out and do deliveries, someone who's doing a lot of paper-intensive processing. I mean, we can automate all of that, where they can do it on a large phone or a tablet or even a small phone if you don't have a lot to gather. And it immediately uploads and syncs with the system, and they can dispatch them where to go next and that kind of thing.
You mentioned the angel investor group. Who would be a good candidate for that, and how do they get involved?
Well, really, anybody who is currently maybe involved in an angel network, or someone who's looking for investments. We've got a lot of very successful entrepreneurs in this community that have recently sold their technology businesses. So if someone like that was interested in wanting to reinvest into technology, it would make a lot of sense for them, because they wouldn't. It'd be a filter of viable projects. Plus, it would be all technology. It wouldn't be a little bit of everything. So, but anybody who's interested, we'd be willing to talk to you.
Hi, Jody. My name's Mitch. I'm wondering how many apps you guys have already developed that are currently in use on smartphones, what your revenues are, and anything else you can tell us in that line.
Okay. From app standpoint, I haven't even counted. We've got a dozen, somewhere in that range, and we've done a lot of other things. Since we started 3 years ago, we knew we were ahead of the curve for this market for mobile, and so we knew we'd have to offer other services, custom software, whether that be desktop or mobile, or web-based applications. So we have one system that we spent about 7 months on that is an ERP system for a manufacturer. So everything that comes in from the cell all the way through getting it on a manufacturing line, designing it, getting it through manufacturing out the door. So that wasn't mobile, but that was a big chunk of work. And as far as our revenues, we're a privately held company, and I'd rather not say.
Jody, if someone had an idea and they wanted to come in and have a consultation with you, what kind of homework would you want us to do before we sit down and met with you, so we would have the most productive time together?
The best thing for someone to come in with an idea is to have at least gone to the app stores and see if their idea already exists. And if it does, that doesn't mean it's not a good idea. Someone maybe has proven the market, but they're missing that magic piece that you can bring, to it. But knowing what's out there for your competition, this is like anything else. If you're going to start a business, you kind of need to know the lay of the land. And we keep our eye on mobile, and we're seeing what's going on, but we don't know every app that's out there, obviously. There's billions of apps out there. So the more research you can do on, here's an idea, I can't find it out there anywhere, or here's an idea, it's similar to this, that helps a lot. You don't have to be technical, you don't have to know a lot. Fortunately, we've been in the business long enough, and we've dealt with non-technical people enough that we can talk. We're not going to talk technical over your head, hopefully, anyway. So.
Hi, two-part question.
Yep.
First one is, if I already have an app built and I just want to put out a version 2 on it, are you all willing to work with me on that? And then second, if I didn't use a wrapper, I use for iOS, Objective-C code, could you all work with that as well?
Sure. When we started out developing everything in Objective-C and Java, and realized quite quickly that we're going to be pricing ourselves out a lot of deals, because we would have a ×2 factor at that point, because you have to develop everything twice. And so we went with a product that allows us to develop all the core code, all the communication code, everything one time. So yes, we could help you. Our preference would be to stay with the technology that we're using, but if it's something that you needed some tweaks on, we'd certainly be able to help you. And did I get both your questions? Okay.
It seems like you've left out the biggest part of the market, and I'm wondering where you were at with that, which is the market that hits 100%, and that's the HTML5 app market. Because it seems like you've completely left, you haven't mentioned that.
Yeah, we've looked at that, and the thing with the HTML5, you're getting, you can do some of the native things. You've got some limitations on what you can do that you can do with a native app. Yeah, you get about 90%, whereas with a native app, you're going to get 100%. You're going to get a lot faster speed, and you're going to get a look that looks native to each platform versus, one static look, across platforms. So, yeah.
Judy, you referenced your toolkit a couple of times. Can you tell us what toolkits you're using to do development?
We use a product from a company called Xamarin, and it allows us to develop everything in C#. So. No big secret there. They're really taking a lot of market share, and there's rumors that Microsoft's going to buy them out because it really is a good system. And the nice thing about that is it allows us to have one language internally, so as we hire, we can write all of our, if we have to write a desktop app, web application, or a mobile app, it's all one language.
Hi, Jody. Quick question here. Actually, it's kind of a two-part question.
how can you help a prospective client with the marketing of an app if they come with you or come to you with a great idea? And then also, what about the legal implications that are imposed with such idea?
Yeah, ooh, I got loud all of a sudden. We're going to, we'll be able to give some advice, but we're going to refer people to a professional marketing team, legal team. I mean, we're propeller heads, we're not marketers. And really, a lot of the times companies come to us, they already have a design team they want to work with, and we'll work with their design team. With AG, we work with the design team that they have, and with several other customers, we work with a design team that they already have. We recently tweeted and social media'd out about a kind of a loose partnership that we've made with the Marlin Company. They are a design team, they're a marketing team. They're bringing in projects to us for mobile development, but we're working with their designers, and it works great.
Cody Stringer with R&D.
Yeah, good.
It seems like there's a strong opportunity for existing businesses that know that mobile is important, but don't really understand how it could be executed effectively for them. Is there some kind of educational aspect that you can bring to those types of organizations?
Definitely. When we first started planning to do this business 3 years ago this month, we were looking at this and kind of trying to see where the market was and where people were in relation. And it's really like the internet was in the late 90s and early 2000s. Big companies were out there using it and making money with it. Smaller to medium-sized businesses knew that big companies were out there making money with it, but they didn't know what to do, didn't know how to do it. Now, I can't imagine hardly any company going into business without web presence and that kind of thing. And really, that's where mobile apps are going. Everybody's going to, we have a great anecdotal story of my partner's son lives in Dallas. He's 30-ish, and he ordered some food from a local company, and they delivered it, and he said, okay, I need your app. And the guy said, well, we don't have an app. And he said, well, I'll never order from you again. So people need to be thinking about that. The younger generation especially is going to be living in their apps. And if you don't have an app, it's like not having a website, for the last 10 years. So we can definitely sit down and talk you through that and figure out. And if we can't help you, we'll try to find someone who can.
So Jody, what's next for you, and how can you scale this as a company, as a service, as a product?
Yeah, really the next for us is kind of like what I said in the video. There's two things. One, we're going to continue to grow what we're doing today. We're also identifying products that we're going to take to market. And so we're going to be doing both, and really scale is going to be a lot, adding developers and adding the strength to the team that we don't have today, maybe in certain areas, and bringing in, just more horsepower to be able to grow it. The business scales well, the business cash flows well. It's a good business model. It's just, we just need to continue to feed the flames.
Excuse me. I'm a writer, so before I present an idea, I get it copyright, so I can protect my ideas. So in this case, how can people protect their ideas, even from you or anybody?
Yeah, from us, we do a non-disclosure agreement with anyone who wants to do one right off the bat. Before they share their idea, if they want to, we'll fill out a non-disclosure. We have a standard mutual non-disclosure, which basically says we won't tell your idea to anyone else, and you won't tell anyone, how we do business, that kind of thing. If someone comes to us and they have us sign a non-disclosure, and then we realize right away, hey, we've already heard this idea 15 times, or we're already working with someone with this idea, we'll disclose that right away and make them aware of that. As far as protecting yourself from others, that's a tricky world. I mean, intellectual property and technology, it's just so easy to change a few things, and then you got to have a ton of money to fight that legal battle. And so really it comes down to getting to market first and getting to market with the best product and just beating them. So.
Well, Jody, as we wrap up, as we always say, as a community, what is it that we can do for you?
Well, the community's already done a lot for us. When we started the App Pros 3 years ago, we were looking for something like the E-Factory, and it didn't exist. And so we got with Rob Dixon with the Chamber, and he was a huge help. And he introduced us to Alan Kunkel, who got us into the Jordan Valley Innovation Center, and that was kind of the launching point for us. And then when the E-Factory opened last year, we moved in here, and things like 1,000,000 Cups, things like Spin 66, things like these opportunities where entrepreneurs can get to know us and we can get to know them is great. And then my previous slide, if you got an idea, come talk to us. If you're a business and you want to learn more about mobile, come talk to us. If you're an investor and you want to learn about how you can get involved in some technology opportunities, come talk to us. So, all right. Thank you.
All right, so before we jump to our next presenter, we got a couple quick announcements here. And as always, if you guys have anything for us to add to what we call our entrepreneurial stack, please let us know that anything that can help out the entrepreneurial community. I'm going to talk to our presenter real quick. Colleen, if you could, we'll mic you up over here. So let's see, we have AITP meeting, see Randy Baker. Randy's over this way. They're the second largest chapter in the U.S. with a focus on cutting-edge technology presentations, and they have a catered lunch, which is $10 to all members, and it's the third Wednesday of every month, and they meet today, and the topic is project management. So if you have any questions, talk to Randy over there. MATA, if you guys aren't familiar with MATA, the Mid-America Technology Alliance, great program. They meet the second Thursday of every month, again, in this room. Sherry Coker and Dan Cobb run that, so if you guys have any questions, please talk to them as well. Also, the Real Estate Investors Group is meeting tomorrow night at 6 p.m. at Pasta Express on West Republic Road. And if you have any questions, talk to Brad Mancado, which is right here. And so without further ado, we'll get to our next presenter. Hopefully, you guys saw a couple of the samples in the back. If not, grab one on your way out. There's some really cool little straws that you can try her product out with. I found out about this lady and her company and her product through a good friend of mine, Marvin Firmerman, in the back. He said, there's this really cool lady doing some really cool stuff, do business in Saudi Arabia, and he said, she lived in the Middle East and started a company when she came back. And so I'm really proud to have her here, and she's going to tell us all about her company and her product, Colleen Sunday.
Hi, thank you so much for sitting through my presentation today. I'd like to begin by asking a question for a free t-shirt. Can anybody here tell me where the largest amount of dates are produced, the region in the world? I think I saw your hand raised.
California?
No. Good try.
Israel?
Close. I'm looking for a broad region.
UAE.
He's probably the closest.
Persia.
Anybody else want to give me a broad region? No, not as far as I know. Okay, you got it. So Israel, the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Saudi Arabia. California actually only produces about 3% of the world's dates, maybe less. So most people in California have heard of dates, but a lot of people in the United States don't even know the difference between like a prune and a fig and a date. A lot of you guys have had dates like in your grandma's fruitcake or the dried up dates in the 1970s cereal, granola. So your impression of dates might not be that great. But in the Middle East, dates are a delicacy. There's actually 400 varieties of dates, over 400 varieties of dates in the world. And every time you go to the Middle East, you'll go to somebody's house and they'll serve it to you with Arabic coffee. Any market you go to, loaded with dates. And they even have date boutiques, as you can see in these pictures. You can buy like some of the really high-end dates for like $100 a pound if you want. So the thing that really caught my attention when I was over there was date syrup, which is just nectar from dates. And it's like this thick, luxurious masterpiece. It's wonderful on pancakes and waffles and you name it. So in the Bible, even some references to the word honey, translated from the Hebrew, describe a fruit honey. So date syrup isn't new. It's been around for a really long time. So the question I get quite often, what in the world is a date company doing in Missouri? Well, my husband and I are from Springfield, and we had both traveled all over, and we met in Springfield after a certain amount of time, and we got married. And then to make a long story short, since I don't have very much time, he went over there to take a teaching job. And so basically, I was in marketing and advertising. I owned my own company. I sold it, became pregnant with our first child, and moved overseas. So I became a full-time mom overnight, which was great because I had all the time in the world to kind of explore the culture. And being a foodie, in fact, before I owned my own business, I almost shipped myself off to culinary school. I just explored the food markets first. And I had this little 2-month-old baby who was like this white pasty thing with chubby cheeks. So we stuck out like a sore thumb. And every time we went somewhere, we would have these Emirati ladies, you know, covered with their eyes peeking out, come up and grab his cheeks. And people knew us. We lived in a really small town, and so it wasn't like you hear about Dubai. It wasn't very Western at that point. So anyway, with my marketing background, we decided that this would be a good product for the US. So while we were there, we just kind of experimented with it, and then when we actually moved back to the Northwest, and we decided to test market it. And the results were good, so we decided to go for it. So here is our current product line. Skipping on to the future, or to the present rather. We have packaged Date Lady dates, which are from California, by the way, and then pure date syrup, which is just 100% dates. There's about 1.5 pounds of dates in every jar. And then we have a caramel sauce, which a really good date will have natural caramel notes. And so basically what we did was we reduced the date syrup a little bit, and we add just a touch of organic caramel flavor and sea salt to really bring forth those notes. And then we just launched a chocolate spread, and honestly, we're like almost too scared to really put it out there because we just can't seem to make it quick enough. It's already selling very quickly. So how do people in the United States feel about dates now? Believe it or not, dates are in. Has anyone here had bacon wrapped dates at Touch? Yeah, they're starting to show up all over the place. Chef Yodam Odolinghi calls date syrup his one curveball ingredient. So it's really just showing up all over the place. And we try not to like really make this our focus, but dates are healthy. I mean, most people can figure that out, right? Because it's a fruit. And this is actually one of our fans here. I just had to put that on there. So dates can be, you know, part of some of the trendiest diets out there, the Mediterranean diet, the paleo diet. They're the highest in polyphenols or antioxidants of any dried fruit out there. They're rich in potassium. Forget bananas. They're a higher ounce per ounce than bananas are in potassium. I mean, I like bananas, but I like dates better. So because it is allergen-free for the most part of the major allergens at least, we're always getting letters from people that are like, I just love your date syrup because I've been taking processed sugar out of the house because my kids can't handle it or this and that, and they actually really love the date syrup. So I'm never really surprised by that because it really is, if you haven't tried it, you should. So where are we now? Since launching in May 2012, so 2 years ago, we're in over 250 stores in the US and Canada. We have 5 distributors and growing. And this year, our sales projections are a 300% increase from last year. And that's without a salesperson so far. So we're looking to hire a salesperson sometime soon, but really it's all just been word of mouth at this point. We have 3 main sales channels. Wholesale, so that would be to stores like Mama Jean's and Whole Foods. We're in the Northwest Pacific Whole Foods region now, and also Northern California, and we're currently under review for the rest of the regions. Dean and DeLuca. And then internet, of course, we're on Amazon, Abe's Market, and our own website, ilovedatelady.com. And then one thing that has kind of been turning out to be our bread and butter during this small stage of our life is in bulk. And we have a few bar companies that are using our product as a replacement for agave and for corn syrup and brown rice syrup. And so we're selling it by the 50-gallon barrel as well. Just a few things to mention here. When we went to Expo West in March, it's the biggest natural product trade show in the United States. We were nominated for an XD Award, and we were really proud of that because only a really small percentage of people there get nominations. And basically what the award is about are products and brands that are predicted to shape the future of the natural products industry. So we were really proud of that. And then we've also had a few mentions on some of our favorite websites, The Kitchen, Tasting Table, and Specialty Food. And where are we headed? So this year, at the end of next month, we're going to the Fancy Food Show in New York, and we'll do some marketing there. We're also going to the biggest trade show in Canada for the natural products industry in September. And we're also participating in some of these boxes. Do any of you get the Conscious box or Nature boxes or anything like that? It's kind of becoming a common thing where you get a box every month with different products in it. And so we're participating in that to introduce our product to some of our target market around the nation. And our goals are adding more SKUs. We're constantly looking to put new products out there. One of them that might be sooner than later is a trail mix. And we have a raw brownie that we're also playing with that could be really fun. Of course, we would love nationwide distribution. And I mentioned that we're in Canada, and we also have some interest from some other international markets. So we're hoping to go forward with that. So to wrap it up, as far as how you all can help us, we're constantly looking for contacts for distributors in other regions. And also, we would really like to get into the food service realm, hospitals or education, because we feel like we're a healthy alternative. And as more and more people in the mainstream are seeing that, we would like to be a part of that growth. And then right now, we're starting to look for investors in a serious way, because we're kind of at that point where we're growing really rapidly and we just need some bigger equipment. We need to hire a salesperson. We've been doing really well. We've been able to keep up with demand so far, and we have the capability to meet, all the demand that we see coming, but we could use some dollars to help make that a little easier on us. So that's it. Any questions?
Yeah, have you tried approaching Walmart to distribute that, or do you think that's not more of a specialty item for health stores? Microphone, please.
Yeah, so he wants to know if we have thought about Walmart. And we've thought about Walmart, but our strategy really is to go towards natural and gourmet specialty foods first, because that's really where our target market is. I think that we would be ready for something like Walmart 2 or 3 years down the road, maybe. I mean, I would, well, personal feelings aside, I would like to be able to be available to people, So, yeah, that could be an option for us down the road. Any other questions? Devin? Oh.
What's the potential size of your market? You're not going to replace corn syrup probably because there's just not that many dates in the world. Are you capped into a small niche market by the availability of dates?
Well, you would be surprised to know the amount of dates that are produced, not in California, but in the Middle East. So I would liken us to more of like a maple syrup. I think we have a greater capacity than maple syrup, though.
One other question: are you doing your own manufacturing now, or is it with a co-man?
We import the syrup currently with dates made from Tunisia. And the caramel and the chocolate we make in our commercial kitchen here in Springfield.
I think everybody here wants to know which stores can we find you in here locally?
Yes, well, we're in Mama Jean's, of course, and we're in the Hy-Vee Natural section, and we're also at Homegrown Foods. And then a little known fact, we go to the farmers market of the Ozarks every Saturday. And there we do not sell our date syrup or our caramel usually. We just sell the products that we're testing. So we're using you guys as like guinea pigs. But actually it's more of an excuse to be involved because we all just love the farmers market, and that's kind of, that's our target market. So, and we like being there and being involved.
Colleen, what about the bulk sales and bulk manufacturing?
Yeah, so that's been really big for us. We haven't even put ourselves out there as far as a supplier, but we just had lots of folks contact us and say, hey, can you sell this in bulk? And we were like, of course. And so we're sold in some different bar companies. I'm not sure if any of them are in distribution in Springfield. Nude Food out of Boulder, they're a big one. And so when you see date syrup on their label, that's us. Piney River, they just had the hot date ale, and that was us as well, if you're familiar with them. And we've been contacted by a lot of larger companies, Tofuti, if you've heard of them, and several others that are experimenting with our stuff right now. So yeah, that's big for us. We're shipping out 2 pallets. We're shipping out, let's see, I think 4,000 pounds of syrup tomorrow or Friday to manufacturers.
Hi, my name is Chris. I enjoy your presentation.
Thank you.
Diabetes is a big issue in America today. How does date sweetener deal with people that struggle with that?
Yeah, we get that question quite often. We generally tell them to think of it as any fruit. So however they would utilize fruit in their diet, it would be the same kind of thing. We wouldn't ever tell them to replace their other sweeteners with it. We don't really want to get into that, but it's 100% fruit, so.
How is your supply affected by the Middle East, and it's a volatile area perceived to be? Is your supply chain pretty solid?
Yes, like I said, there are different countries in the Middle East. So right now we're getting from Tunisia, and that hasn't been problematic for us. Originally, we did get them from Israel, and the UAE is a huge producer of dates. They're very stable as far as the Middle East goes. And we have actually visited those plants, and so we have a relationship with a lot of people, and we feel pretty good about it. But actually our goal is to make it from California dates. The supply is the issue there. Dates are just hugely in demand right now. So all of the date farms in California are even importing dates to sell. So, but there are several thousands of acres of date palms being planted in California. The problem is it takes about 5 years for a date palm to yield fruit. So they're increasing the supply, but it'll be a little while.
So how does that affect flavor? If you're sourcing from Israel, Tunisia, and then possibly California, will that affect the taste of the product?
It does. It really depends on the variety. The variety that we will use for the California product will have a different note, and we will label it as a California date syrup. And it's actually a much lighter syrup, and it has a much stronger caramel note than our current date syrup.
Can you talk a little bit about your competition right now?
Yes. I would say that our primary competition really is just like agave nectar and brown rice syrup and that type of thing, because there's really no one competing directly with us as far as date syrup. You can find date syrup in obscure Middle Eastern markets. There's a brand not many people have heard of that's a date nectar that's out there, but actually we supply their syrup for their brand. So as far as a direct competitor with anyone that sells date syrup, there's not one right now. And that's another reason why we're wanting to grow quick now, because we feel like anytime somebody's going to pop up with it. And so I think we're a little ahead of the game right now, and we want to stay that way.
Colleen?
Yes. Oh, there you are.
I have a question.
Yes.
Have you contacted Rachel Ray or any of those national
No, we have not. We haven't. No, but I suspect that day will come. We'll get some more publicity. Honestly, I mean, I'm a marketing and PR person, but I just want to be able to do things well. And so we're this is our second year in business, and we're really good at what we do right now. And I think we could handle some sort of press like that, but that hasn't been the best use of our time to go after it at this point. But hopefully that'll be coming up soon. Any other questions?
As far as your marketing goes, I know you said you have a background in marketing, and you guys kind of have this you guys have a brand you've obviously created for yourselves, and you can kind of sense the attitude about your company. Is that something that you came up with yourself, or have you gone out to outside sources to help with your advertising and your branding?
Yes, I did. I worked with designers from the company that I used to own. They do our design work for us. I'm not a designer, but I did do the brand strategy and the marketing and continue to work on that.
So, Colleen, I would get a quick question. You don't have to give us the details, but when we were talking, you said you have a really interesting potential investor pack, including royalties. A lot of small businesses really want to stay away from royalties. I think, Kevin at the Shark Tank gives royalties a really bad connotation, but you said it was going to work out in your favor right now where you guys are at. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So right now we're offering a royalty-based financing situation because we kind of wanted to stay away from a public or private placement at this point in equity until we get bigger. So we are offering basically selling a percentage of our sales, which really helps us with cash flow where we're at right now. That way, when we get gross sales every quarter, we give a percentage of those sales to the investor, along with some of our products so they can use it and talk it up. And then those folks will also have, be the first to be contacted about equity if that comes up, if we're offering equity investments.
Do you have any other products that you're testing besides the chocolate syrup right now? Or what's
besides the chocolate
up?
spread? Yeah, well, the trail mix is a good possibility because all the trail mixes out there are just like full of preservatives and sugar and stuff, and ours doesn't have any of that. So we're perfecting that right now. We have a raw brownie that we're looking at, putting out there eventually, and a couple things. Our goal is to have 2 to 3 products each year for the next 2 years.
So I'm sure everybody here is wondering where you're going to get your granola from. I think we know somebody.
Granola, yeah.
Do you have that known yet? Where you'll get the supplies from that?
Like our supply. Well, it's a trail mix actually, and a granola is a great idea, but I think we'll leave that to granola because it's already just so good. Can't be beat.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good,
Good
thanks.
presentation.
Thank you.
I was wondering about your internet sales and part of your revenue, I guess that is, and if you want to grow that market.
It's a small percentage compared to the other piece of the pie, as far as other 2 pieces of the pie with wholesale and bulk. The main reason that we're on the internet is because we don't have nationwide distribution. I mean, we'll probably always be on Amazon because anybody can sell your product on Amazon. But we'll probably pull our stuff off of our website once we have nationwide distribution.
Yeah, I have a question. What about your quality assurance? How are you keeping the product that's coming in 100%? That's not being mixed with anything else? And are you inspecting the production plants?
Yes, we are. We have organic certification and kosher certification. So we have those certifiers come into our kitchen. We have the local health department. We also have our things third-party analyzed by labs that we send them out to just to make sure there isn't anything foreign. And then also the girls are currently training with the HACCP program too, and we have a HACCP plan in place.
What about the plants overseas? Are you making sure they're up to
Yes,
snuff?
absolutely. Yes, there's tons of documentation involved, especially when you're overseas and you want to have the USDA organic seal. So they have many, many, many layers of good manufacturing practices and HACCP paperwork that we require.
Yeah, Colleen, I know that in the food service industry that the consumer end of it is certainly a revenue generator, but the big money is really made in food service and bulk sales. Could you kind of talk to us perhaps about how you're addressing that? Because I noticed in your photographs there were great big green barrels. And so, and I'd like to know about that. And then I'd also like to understand what kinds of volumes you have to order and how they're cartoned to get them from the Middle East all the way here to Missouri.
Well, we purchase them by the container. That's how we, get them at a good price to fit in with our cost of goods. And yes, we sell them by the barrel. And so far it's just been great for us. I mean, the folks that are using them as an ingredient right now, I mean, we basically, sometimes we'll send them in 5-gallon pails too, but most of them buy them in the 50-gallon barrels. But we haven't really delved into food service, just because for one thing, like I said, we haven't really had a sales staff up until this point. So that would be another channel that we might be looking at. Right now, it's just been as an ingredient to replace something. Lots of people are actually moving away from agave, and that was the big thing. And a lot of people love date syrup just because, if nothing else, they can see where it comes from, where agave, comes from like a cactus plant. So it's kind of just wrapping your mind around how it's processed to get to that point.
In a typical carton, how many gallons would there be?
I can't answer that in gallons, but in tons, I think we can get around 21 metric tons per container.
That's a lot of syrup.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and in response to what you just said, I'm assuming that one of the things that you're probably looking for is sales representation.
Yes.
In some of these different areas, like other markets, like food service. And,
absolutely.
And out of all of the regions in the United States, from a marketing standpoint, what regions are you the least represented in? What appears to be the toughest nut for you to crack here?
Yeah, well, strangely enough, the Midwest and the Rocky Mountain region. People have really, it's just kind of taken off like wildfire on the East and West Coast, especially the Northeast part of the East Coast, and all over California and the Northwest, Seattle and Portland. People love us in Canada. Our sales in Canada might actually surpass our sales here. Right now, that would probably change later. But yeah, I mean, we're not really in hardly anywhere in St. Louis and Kansas City, and we're not in the Rocky Mountain region. So, yeah.
Has there been any confusion about your name, The Date Lady? Because
on occasion.
I thought that you were a
yeah.
dating service.
Yeah, sometimes people are disappointed. It's true. We usually just act like we don't know what they're talking about. What do you mean? No, I'm just joking.
So that wasn't planned at all? Not the slightest bit?
Oh, no, not really. I mean, not so much. No.
Colleen, there's obviously a real opportunity for advertising messaging when you get to that point that revolves around funny little taglines about the date lady.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think we've kind of decided, I mean, we've had a lot of fun with that,
Yeah.
In the office at least.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to stay away from that and let people make their own.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking of something like, 30-year-old young man looking for a sweet lady in the kitchen.
Yeah, okay. You never know.
You never know.
What are your plans for 5 years from now? Where do you hope that you will be?
Well, I hope we have nationwide distribution and several new products. And I honestly would love, just as a personal dream, I think it would be awesome to open a date boutique, kind of like you see in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, somewhere in a market like New York City or San Francisco or something like that, something really high-end and fun. And I think it would be great to have a storefront in Springfield eventually. We're under contract for our own building. We've been leasing for the past 2 years, but we're under contract for our own building right now, and that has some potential too.
And so what about the ultimate exit, Colleen?
I would like to stay involved in the company, but we would be open to selling it here in another, hopefully 6 to 7 years.
Good morning, good presentation.
Thank you.
What is the average yield or seasons per date tree?
Yes, there's only one harvest per year, and just depends on where in the world it is. But in California, they're going to start here in July harvesting some of them, and then it'll finish up in October.
What about that shelf life of your product?
Yeah, that's one thing that's really great with our product is the shelf life is very extensive. If you have a jar of date syrup, it hasn't been tampered with at all, then it could sit there forever. Like they've even found date syrup on old stones where they crushed dates, thousands of years ago. However, if there's just like one little teeny drop of condensation or something like that, that can alter the chemistry completely and it might start to mold.
Great. Well, Colleen, as we wrap up, again, I think we have a good idea, but just to reinforce, as a community, what can we do to help you?
So food service, distribution, contacts, and if you're interested in investing in our company, let me know. I'm glad to answer any questions afterwards.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.